Fat cat claims are the reason that your VA claims have been denied, possibly for decades long. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what we're going to eradicate. This is what we're going to strike. We're going to hit them. We're going to hit them hard. Let me show you what the target looks like. Right there. Look at the cat. Now look at me. Cat. Now back to me. Nice. This is what I mean by fat cat claims. Whenever you go and we listen to a veteran service organization, we listen to some VA disability guidance, and we trust them to just steer the whole process for us. Hey, I could sit back, eat some Cheetos, and this claim is handled. And we don't first educate ourselves. We turn off our brain. We let someone steer the ship. This is what happens. We listen to a VSO 100% of the time, right? This is what can happen. A fat cat claim. I'm going to explain to you exactly why throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks is actually the opposite of what is the efficient path moving forward and how to win your claim. And I'm going to show you what a lean, mean claim looks like and why it doesn't really matter if you have 27 conditions. You can file them all at once and still have a high success rate. I'm Jordan Anderson, VA Claims Academy. You ready? Let's go. So this is what happens, and it happens so often. You walk into your veteran service organization office, your local VSO, it's free. They're there to help you out. And they ask you a bunch of questions. They say, hey, okay, what's wrong with you? It's like, well, I have this cough. Okay. Oh, what else? Think. Okay. Well, I have static sounding in my ears. It sounds like static. Okay, good. My hip hurts. Okay, good. And they're trying to get everything out of you. Like any type of symptom that you have, they're essentially going to claim a condition for that. Now, what you end up leaving with is a bloated, look at that face. Look how look at the disappointment. You end up leaving with a bloated claim with 15 conditions, but the number isn't the issue. You can have a lot of conditions, and I'm going to get into that in a second as to why that's actually a common misconception that you want to do this in batches and, only file 3 at a time. I'm going to show you the difference here. But this is what happens. So you have like 15 conditions, right? None of them really, maybe half of them you even have diagnosed, and you're in there. And when you're talking to the veteran service organization, sometimes even if it's a good VSO, they can, have you leaving with the impression that, hey, you know what? Wow, I'm going to really stick it to the VA. They might be giving me backdated pay since I left the enlistment, and it leaves you set up for disappointment because you have conditions that are underdeveloped. What do I mean by underdeveloped conditions? This means that you go in there, again, you think you got a shot at winning. You don't have a diagnosis. You sure don't have, a personal statement, a solid personal statement with each and every condition. You probably don't even have a Nexus letter, but a lot of the times, bless their hearts, a lot of the VSOs say, hey, what's wrong with you? Okay, cool. Roger that. I'm submitting a claim for all of it. And they don't properly set expectations to the veteran that, hey, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. 90% of this stuff ain't going to stick. They kind of give the expectation that, hey, yes, you should be sticking it to the VA. Yes, all of these should be service connected. Well, even if that is true, where's the baseline level of foundational knowledge? Where's the education of how the VA claims process works so the veteran can get the idea that, hey, you know what? Many of these might not even get approved, but we can do this moving forward. I can potentially, learn how to write these personal statements. I can get this doctor to to fill out a Nexus letter template for me, right? Because they're willing. I know I have a friendly doctor over here, or I might have to buy some of these Nexus letters over there. But these conditions are worth buying because they're high value, and these conditions not so much because it might just be, 10% or what have you. That is missing. And this is why, again, we have bloated claims, and it does not matter how many conditions you have, or even if you want to claim them all at the same time. With my clients that have been out for decades, I spoke to one gentleman yesterday who's been out for a little more than 40 years. It's easy to get overwhelmed because, of course, by then you got all these conditions that you're dealing with, and you just want to claim everything. And honestly, you can get paralysis by analysis. You can claim everything. There's a difference between a claim that has 15 conditions that are all, you got your evidence, You've got your lay evidence is written. You've got your Nexus letters. They're all done. You've got your medical records for all of them. You just happen to have 15. Psh, way to go. That's awesome. And the same 15 conditions, which are spaghetti, right? This, Garfield liked lasagna, but let's say this cat right here likes spaghetti. Okay. So 15 underdeveloped conditions is not the same as 15 well-developed conditions that are surgical strikes. It's almost like you ever have, if someone's 250 pounds, right? Someone's 250 pounds, but they have lean muscle. They're all muscle. Is that the same performance as someone that's 250 pounds that lives on Little Debbie's? It's the difference, right? You have body mass, which just is what it is, but then you have body fat percentage. This is where people get wrong. If you have a high body fat percentage claim because you have underdeveloped conditions that all you're doing is claiming those, that's where you get into trouble when people say, oh, it takes so long if you claim more than a certain amount of conditions. Well, yeah, because you're sending people on goose chases with claims that really don't have much evidence, and now you're waiting on the VA to pull records, you're waiting on them to try to fill in the gaps on stuff. That's a lot of man hours wasted. One common misconception is that the VA process takes so long because veterans are claiming things, and getting educated and filing claims. No, the ones that are getting educated are filing efficient claims, whereas everything's there, you can rate it very easily. It's the ones that throw everything at the wall, see what sticks, that waste man hours, and then they try to disagree with the claim that never had a chance to begin with, that wastes even more man hours. Let me show you what this is. This, same 15 conditions. We can have a lean claim. This is what I like. No more fat cat claims. We can have a lean claim with 15 conditions. Picture this. Picture this. For all 15 conditions, you've got every single one of them diagnosed, medical diagnosis for all 15 conditions. You've got all those diagnoses that are updated. So it looks like you're still getting treatment. Guess what? This treatment's up to date. They're still suffering from this condition. Check. Guess what? We have all 50 conditions. You have a solid personal statement written telling your side of the story so you can translate your reality into the VA's own language. All of this takes a little bit of education. It's not that hard though. You also have a Nexus letter, right? A Nexus letter, just for those of us, who are new, is basically a doctor's note from your doctor saying that, hey, in my opinion, this condition is related to your military service. That could be huge at winning service connection, which is the biggest place where people get denied with their VA claims. You've got one of those for every single claim that you need, right? And now you submit a fully optimized claim. And this is what we look like. Yeah, are we still heavy? The claim's still heavy. We got 15 conditions, but we're lean and mean, baby. We're lean and mean. That performance is vastly different than disappointed fat cat. Okay, so don't let people tell you, oh yeah, you have 15 conditions. Don't file those all the time at the same time. Go ahead and do 2 and 3 at a time. That's going to save time. Not really. Think about it. Even if you saved a couple months on each batch. If you're having to do 2 or 3 batches, each of those is taking at least 4 months on its own of a cycle to wrap up. In my opinion, you're not saving time. You should spend the effort on, even if you're, at crunch time, let's say, hey, I created my intent to file almost a year ago. I'm running out of time. I have this big, long laundry list of conditions. Do I file them all at the same time? Sure. You can. And even if you just mentally know that most of those will get, denied if you're not ready, go ahead and get the top ones fully developed, right? So if you have PTSD, then that should be your number one priority out of that list of 15, right? Why? Because on average, every mental rating is 70% on average. So make your priority, I'm going to write this down. Make your priority the conditions that are both the highest value and easiest to win. This takes, again, a little bit of education, which is why education is a start. You can't cut corners to an optimized VA claim. You're not going to be able to get anyone to file your claim for you and actually care as much as you do. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. No one cares about your claim and your family's future as much as you, right? It's not much of a shocker. So you got to get a baseline level of education. And I wish that the VSOs would have some type of resource and give their veterans like an online course or something. But prioritize. That's the first one. Next, we strategize. So first, you looked at the list of conditions. You said, okay, you know what? This hearing loss one, I know that's going to be a 0% rating. So I'm just going to kind of put that on the back burner for now. You see how you're trimming the fat on your mental, faculties? Because let's be honest, I can't keep track of 15 conditions all at the same time. And where am I at? Oh, do I have this one diagnosed? Is this claim finished with the update? That's so difficult to do. So what you got to do is you got to mentally kind of let go of the conditions that either you really kind of got no shot at winning or that are super low value until a little bit later, right? So that's totally okay if you just claim those right now, knowing that they'll get denied. And here's why. If it gets denied, you can do a supplemental claim within 1 year and try to keep that initial intent to file date alive. So you're kind of hitting that ball, keeping it in the air. So that way, when you get around to it in the priority, as you go through the highest value conditions to now the lowest, now within that 1 year of the decision letter date, you can do a supplemental claim and still potentially get retroactive backdated pay to that initial intent to file date. That's cannon fodder. It's totally okay to sacrifice the pawns. Again, we're playing chess and not checkers here, but you have to go in with the mentality knowing, hey, it's probably going to get denied. Next, you strategize. What are the conditions that I'm going to have to claim as, let's say, a secondary claim? So, for instance, let's say that you have anxiety that's not service connected yet. You need to get that service connected, but you also have migraines, okay? Now, you think that your migraines are caused by your anxiety, but you know that you don't want to go out and pay for a Nexus letter for migraines secondary to anxiety, when really you don't even know if the anxiety is going to get service connected, right? It could be a waste of $1,200 for that Nexus letter. It may be smart to go ahead and just claim the migraines as a primary claim to begin with. Maybe you don't have a Nexus letter, that's fine, but give it a chance, right? So fire it off, give it a chance. If you need to retool it after this first strafe, then retool it. Or if you're bold and you just want to get aggressive as possible, hey, fire off the $1,200. Throw the Hail Mary. Hopefully the anxiety gets connected. And you can also get and have a shot at getting the migraines service connected to that in the same exact claim. But this is what I mean by strategize. Again, you're taking it from order, most value to lowest value. A lot of the, hey, my wrist is hurt, my hands, my feet type of stuff. It might be in the 10 to 20% range. Take a break from thinking about it for now. Reapproach it when it comes up in the priority list. That means after you've tackled the chronic fatigue syndrome, the mental condition, the Meniere's disease, the insomnia, right? Next, now you've sent off those claims. You've seen what sticks, but this is very different than throwing spaghetti at the wall. Throwing spaghetti at the wall means you had no shot at winning those conditions, but they claimed them anyway, wasting man hours, wasting resources. And it sets improper expectations. Like, oh man, I claimed 15 conditions. If I only get a fourth of those, that's going to be good. It's like, well, you got like 2 that stuck, right? So retooling, that means look at the decision letter, right? Look at the decision letter now. What are they telling you, right? You got to kind of read between the lines. We'd know if you've been watching this channel a lot, especially if you're in if you're in VA Claims Academy, the actual course. Look at whether you were denied at phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3 of the 3 stages, right? The 3 battle zones of every VA claim. You're going to know that in every condition that you got denied for in your decision letter. Sometimes they're vague with their language, I get it, but that is key intel because now you can actually adjust your strategy. You've seen the opening, and now you could be way more effective on your second go around. That's what I told the individual yesterday. When I see clients who come to me after 30 years, after 40 years, and look to finally win their VA claims, can you win it? Absolutely, you can. And it's always worth it to give your best shot and your best optimized claim because one, it's important to set the record straight, right? You've been carrying this for decades, maybe even you were denied and you kind of feel like your reality is being denied. You feel like you're being called a liar. It's about acknowledging what happened. But number two, tax-free passive pension. Need I say more? That stuff doesn't exist. It's a unicorn in the financial world. So it's always worth it, even if it's a Hail Mary after 40 years, after 50 years. It's always worth it to push and optimize. That means max out the odds at winning. And this is how we do it. You prioritize, don't overwhelm yourself, then you strategize. Again, this is all based on some foundational knowledge of the VA claim system. It doesn't have to be that difficult. Most of the time, we as veterans actually overthink the process and overwhelm ourselves, making this harder than what it has to be. And a lot of the time, sometimes the VSOs can make it seem more difficult than what it has to be because they're a little inefficient with the strategy sometimes and don't have the time. These are great people. They just don't have the time to try to educate each veteran that comes through. They're swamped, right? And then you retool as needed. Go in with the mindset. If you've been out 40 years, go in with the mindset. Hey, this is going to take 2 times. This is going to take 3 times. I'm going to keep sticking with this, retooling my strategy as we go. Fellow vets, I really hope this helped you out. Definitely hit the like button if it did. I know it's a long one. Share this with someone who needs it because there is hope. And this is the year 2025. We're coming up. This is the year you break through after decades. Cheers.